Well, hello and welcome back. And I would like to thank Mandy for being here. And I'm just going to introduce her as one of my favorite people on the planet. And I have been working with Mandy for a couple of years now through our doTERRA team, but she is quite the expert when it comes to the realm of massage therapy and in nutrition. So that's why I've invited her here today to be with us. We have had some other interviews in the past that I will share, but today I just wanted her to help break down for us what a nutritionist is, why they are helpful, why they aren't a one size fits all, and how it can fall into benefit as to why you should get a coach in this realm of your lifestyle. What do you think, Mandy?
Excited.
All right. So I'm just going to let you kick it off wherever you think that you should. What are you thinking? Where should we start?
Well, I guess I'll first start by describing a little bit about what holistic nutrition is, because this is a question that comes up for me a lot, and sometimes I fumble around it, but I just because I know in my head, but getting it down on paper sometimes is different. But it's basically holistic nutrition. It does have some differing points from like seeing a dietitian or something like that. It's a really individualized approach. So I always start out with a thorough assessment. So there's a really thorough intake form that I would use with people to dive deep into their specific needs. It works with where you're at. So depending on where you are in your nutrition journey, if you've been, eating all organic for a long time, or if you've been, trying different diets, if you've worked with different practitioners in the past and have tried different things, or if, you don't know what it is, but you need to change something about how you're eating. You just don't feel good. You feel like crap syndrome. But so it meets you where you're at, basically. So incorporating whatever small changes to get you feeling results quickly, so that you're not feeling stumped, like you're not feeling like you have to overhaul everything all at once. So it promotes a healthy lifestyle. Look at various factors. So I always look into lifestyle as well. So whether it's the toxins in your home that you're putting on your body, things like that, nutrition, exercise, sleep, breathing, all of it. I touch on all of it to help incorporate the nutrition in more, so that you're not just changing that one aspect and expecting to see results, but maybe there are other things that are working against what you're doing as well. So we want to enhance what we're doing nutritionally so you get the best results. So I guess that's in a nutshell what holistic nutrition is. I usually work with people. I like to see people for at least 3 sessions. I feel like I sometimes work with people for one session plan as well, but I don't feel like the results are the same. I feel like having a bit of accountability, having somebody that you can check in with, ask questions, and tweak things as you go along is better. So I like to see people for at least 3 sessions. And sometimes, depending if we're working with hormones and stuff like that, a little bit longer is even better.
I like how you just mentioned hormones. I know I had a couple things come up in my head as you were talking there, but so if I could like sum it up really quickly, what you offer people is a literally individualized addition to the lifestyle that they're living, and give them other ideas and a sustainable way to change their diet that will stick. Yes, that sounds like something that we would all need a little bit of help with. Now, do you find, this is something that came up to me, was like when you're doing your questions, is it easy for people to answer the questions, or is there some pullback, or is there some like no understanding of maybe what you're talking about? How does that all go?
Is for the intake, like the
Yeah.
initial, yeah. So that I email that out to people in advance. So I like to give them at least a week to work on it, because it can be like writing a book, and sometimes you're diving back into your health history and even your parents, grandparents' health history a little bit. So sometimes you need to do a little bit of research or a little bit of thinking anyway about what's there. I find most of the time, a lot of things will come up for people that maybe they didn't realize could have been affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I find that sometimes as we go through the questions, so I always do go over this. I don't just read it over and then here you go. Like I like to do this so that I can have the time during the first session to get people set up with some changes that are going to help them see results right away. But I do take some time to go over that together, and sometimes more comes out as I ask more questions. Obviously, it's a process, and even myself going back through the questionnaire, I see things now that are much different than when I was in school 16, 17 years ago for nutrition. What I would have answered, well, of course, I'm at a very different stage in my life as well. So things change as we go. But even things in my health history that I now can pinpoint that, oh, yeah, that probably affected what's happening now. Versus back then, I may have not seen that, or when I was new to the field, I wouldn't have seen it. And yeah, so I do find it does bring up a lot. It does sometimes bring up some emotions. Sometimes it often brings up emotions actually. And that's something that we work with as well, as just making things simple and digestible so that it's not an overhaul all at once.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of deal with those emotions as they come up, and as you make those changes, there's so much that's going on in the gut. So often if we're working with nutrition and healing the gut, it changes the emotions as well, because there's such a connection between the gut and the brain.
I love how you said that too. So I know in my like process of trying to lose weight in the past year, I notice now, like just by practicing self-awareness and things like that, I notice now like that didn't make me feel very good. So it's probably not worth it. And I'll try to remember that the next time I go to grab that thing. But in just asking the question before about the intake, I asked that quite literally because as you mentioned it at the beginning of the call, I felt that in my stomach. Like it scares me half to death. Like if you gave me that piece of paper and we had to break it all down for you. So this is something I'm glad came up, because I'm sure that there's a lot of other people that are, haven't quite made it to that part of their journey where they're seeking help in their nutrition, because it's scary. I'll take one for the team there.
Yeah, 100%. And it is definitely a journey to go through, especially dealing with the holistic aspect, because we do dive into lifestyle quite a bit. But I think that it also can be a really fun journey, and it also can bring up just some more awareness around things. And that's why I do like to give people a good amount of time to work on it, so they can kind of sit and digest, and they don't have to do it all at once. Because I know if I was given that form to fill out within a day, or like in the office before I started, I would just be rushing through it. I'd be like, no, check, check, check. I'm all good here.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going back and being like, you know what, actually, if I think about it, this and this and this. So I like to talk about poop a lot. So like, this, actually, no, I didn't have a bowel movement today, or I only have one every few days, or, it's a different consistency than I thought, than I've been noticing, or something like that. So just those little things, like having that there and taking the time to go through it. I noticed that I don't sleep well when I eat this food late at night, or something like that. Those things coming up. And again, it doesn't need to be scary, in that we don't have to change it all at once. Somebody like I've been working with holistic nutrition now for like probably, well, close to 20 years. And when I'm fine tuning things, it's very different than it was when I first started. And it's very different than it was like, if I have somebody who comes to me who has not really ever worked on their nutrition, or, has just, kind of grown up in a very conventional household and has just continued on with that. Their changes are going to be a lot different than my changes at this point, but that's just where you're at. And it's just it's just like habit stacking, which I'm not sure if you talked about it yet this on this course, but I know you'll touch on it. It's stacking. It's like same thing with nutrition. So it's just starting out with that small. It's just starting with drinking more water, or hydrating first thing in the morning, or something like that. And that's cool. And people see a lot of results sometimes just by doing those small habits. But then you might get to a stage like with me, like, okay, I know I can eat this type of food at this time of day and this type of food at this time of day, and it affects me differently. Or if I have that glass of wine, that's going to affect me. Because you get as you move on with your nutrition and your body awareness, you just fine tune how you feel. It's like,
I totally agree with that. And again, you and saying this different parts of your journey, mine did start with adding water. Like mine did start by stacking that water into the morning. And then it just gave me that drive to want to make sure I had, a certain amount of water before lunch. And that's where it really did start for me. And it's like, now I've figured out that bread is the thing that my body absolutely hates, but I love it. So if I'm going to eat it, I eat it at nighttime and go to bed. So I don't really notice if it's affecting me because I'm sleeping. But right over Christmas break, I noticed I had it in the morning and I looked pregnant. My family noticed. They're like, why do you look pregnant? It's like, well, this is what bread does to me. So, technically, should it really be in my body at all? I don't know. But I know that I've got enough self and body awareness that I'm ready to work more with a nutritionist. So it's like depends where you're at, where your self-awareness is, and where your non-negotiables are. So if it's a non-negotiable to fix your diet, then Mandy is the best person to come and see. So we will make sure that we have all of your information in the notes of this slide. I haven't talked about habit stacking yet, but we will get there, and maybe we'll have to start adding water as our next daily habit. So thank you, Mandy. Do you have anything else you'd like to add for anybody before we shut her down?
One more little thing I want to mention is a lot of people think that when they have to change their diet, it gets boring and it gets like, they're just eating like salads and stuff like that. I have a daughter who's almost a teenager now, and we have never been deprived of delicious, tasty, amazing food in this house. Like never. So I give you lots of tools on how to incorporate. So if you can eat bread, I give you a bread that you can eat that's going to be tasty. It might be a little different than what you're used to, but it's going to be delicious and something that you're gonna love as well. So it's just because sometimes we do have to take a period of time that we're healing the body and maybe getting rid of certain things, but having delicious options, like we eat dessert every single night in this house, but it's all like amazing whole foods, like not processed, but I've come up with some amazing recipes. So yeah, if you're working with a nutritionist, you don't have to worry, especially with me, because that's a priority for me, like having the good alternatives that you just love what you're eating anyway.
Right. And I love the fact that you can do this virtually and still touch so many people in such a wide range. So that's the option too. Do you mind if we add your like Instagram and all of that so that people can see your recipes as soon as possible?
Absolutely.
And then they have your contact. So awesome. I appreciate your time, Mandy.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.